Hey, Marion, over here.
Hi, Jenna. So I hear you're running for Congress.
I am.
Well, then are you ready for some questions?
I think I'm ready, yeah.
Okay, so what makes you want to run for Congress?
Well, I was kind of a nerd about early America and the founding fathers, and as I get older, I just think we're not doing it right. So I want to go up there.
Okay, Republican or Democrat?
Neither. Probably mostly libertarian, but really, I'm not a party person. I'm just me.
What do you think about people who say that independent candidates are just stealing votes?
Well, there's no such thing as stealing votes. Everybody gets their one vote to cast, and they should cast it for the person that they believe the most in. So a lot of people don't identify with any of the major parties, and so they deserve to have independent candidates.
So you think you have a real chance?
I think so. I think 2020 is probably the best shot for an independent. In our district, Jeff Van Drew switched parties, which means he might be losing his incumbent advantage. The other contenders, they're not any more experienced than I am. And with vote by mail and everyone getting their ballot, there's 3 weeks that people have to look into every possible candidate. So yeah, this is probably my best chances ever. Hey, you feel like going inside maybe?
Absolutely, let's go.
All right. Kids are home today and they're watching Hamilton again. These are my two oldest girls. So that's Kaylin and Kimberly. They're two of our four. So we also have Maddie and Lola.
Wow, great photos. So what happened here?
Oh, what happened to these? Yep, that's Lola, our baby.
Okay.
We should probably take this in the kitchen.
Wonderful. So what is it like raising daughters in these days?
I think these are probably the best days to be raising up young women. They have a lot of opportunities.
How is remote learning going?
It's challenging. It can be frustrating, but it's been a fun experience.
How do you think schools are responding to COVID?
I think they're doing really well considering. We put a lot of pressure on schools to provide everything that our kids need, and now they need backup.
What could Congress do to help?
I think we could definitely send some more funds down to help with additional staffing, help parents with childcare, to get tutoring. A lot of kids could really use a one-on-one aid right now too.
What's something you miss about the world before COVID?
I miss hugs, handshakes. I really miss smiling at strangers.
What's something you don't miss?
I don't miss close talkers.
What should priorities be in Congress for returning to normal?
I think we need to make sure that our healthcare system can handle another curveball, that our kids aren't slipping too far behind in education or their mental health and social needs. We need to make sure that employers are able to keep their employees active and working.
What are you most proud of?
Personally, I think I've made some steady upward progress in my life, and I haven't given up yet.
What would you change in your early adulthood and do it differently?
I would have set better health habits, and I would have learned how to save money sooner.
Oh, there's a lot of plants in here. Do you have a favorite?
I do. So I really like this guy. I just picked him up. I don't even know what he's called, but I look forward to braiding together his little brother. You want to go outside? I have some more out there.
Absolutely. Nice. So tell me about your childhood in South Jersey.
Right. So I grew up on Pearl Street in Bridgeton from earliest memories until I was about 10. So we just run around the neighborhood with other kids and watch that whole neighborhood really turn a new leaf. Then we lived in Salem County for a while. I would run around riding bikes in Parvins and playing in the woods. So I had a good, diverse kind of exposure as a kid here.
How would you describe South Jersey to an outsider?
Nothing like what you imagine when you think of New Jersey.
What's the strength of South Jersey?
I think we have a lot of diversity in a lot of ways. So we've got a diverse population. We have diverse types of neighborhoods, towns, and cities, and our businesses are very diverse. We have great arts here, agriculture. There's really nothing that you can't find in South Jersey.
Is there any weaknesses that you see in South Jersey?
Yeah, I don't know that we work together well enough across communities. There's a lot that our more affluent communities could do to keep our lower income communities invested in and growing.
So you see opportunities in South Jersey. What are they?
I do. I think that that is an opportunity to learn from one another and collaborate more. I think also that as COVID has kind of changed things, we're more aware of the shortfalls of having a global economy and everything being large scale. I think we have an opportunity in bringing things closer to home.
What's the greatest threat to South Jersey?
I'm concerned that some of our neighbors are looking to other people to tell them how to feel about their neighbors, and that's a problem. A lot of the things that are happening nationally need to be conversations, but they don't need to divide us at home.
I see. What about as a nation?
I think it's the same thing. I think we all need to connect closer to where we are and then come together to improve and do better.
So how do you think Americans can come together?
I think spending more time together, look people in the eye, listen to them.
What would you do to address inequality?
I think the biggest problem that we have now is that our poverty class seems to be growing. And what we could do is stabilize people at the lower end of the middle class and give people more opportunities to own things and invest in their futures.
Looks like you have a lovely backyard. Can we take a look?
Thank you. Yes, this is my pride and joy. So we've lived here for about 8 years. Jay's dad built the house. My roses have grown to be 30 feet tall. I just pruned them, so they aren't as full as they normally are. And then yeah, we have neighbor table where we sometimes have meals and do projects. My neighbor and I dug this pond this summer. And then from all of our fun junking adventures, we've put together a little playland.
Incredible. You have an incredible backyard.
This is the she shed. So this is where I do all the work. Got a whole decade of a career just filed in here.
Speaking of a career, tell me about your career path.
Right, so I was actually a high school dropout at one point, and so I had to work jobs that didn't require a high school diploma. So I waited tables, cleaned houses, worked in a factory, and then I got a job selling hardware and glass to builders and contractors. And at that time, started going back to college. And while in college, transitioned my work into more social services fields and have worked with families and children. And then after getting my master's, I've helped nonprofits with program planning and evaluation things.
Did you have a favorite job?
My favorite job ever was newspaper delivery. 3 hours of BBC World Service and NPR and just solitude.
Least favorite job?
I had to promote liquor for a little while for extra cash. I would never do that again.
Most rewarding job?
Family advocate. I got to connect with families that were facing challenges and work with every member to try and overcome that. Sometimes I'd work with a family for 3 months, and for some of them it was almost 3 years. And to see someone's vision for their life and their family come together, there's nothing more rewarding.
What would Jenna's dream job be?
I would like to sell houseplants.
Well, how would your colleagues describe you?
I think they would say that I am passionate, I am people-driven over profits, and I like efficiencies and honesty.
Your ballot slogan is justice, mercy, humility. Can you explain what that means to you?
Yeah, so I totally borrowed that from the Hebrew prophet Micah. And this verse, as I understand it, is him speaking out in frustration to his people and saying, "The Lord has shown you what is good, and he requires that you act justly, love mercy, and walk humbly with your God." And as we go through these times, I think it's a great, just boil it down, simple concept. If we prioritize justice, if we get excited about second chances, and if we stop acting like we're better or more worthy than anyone else, we could do a lot better.
Let's get to some congressional level questions.
Okay.
The Constitution, done deal or living document?
It's a living document that could use a revival.
If you could host 4 founders for dinner, who would they be?
Benjamin Franklin for his innovative spirit. I'd like to get Alexander Hamilton and Thomas Jefferson together, talk to them about how things have turned out. And definitely Betsy Ross. She was a matriarch and widow who still contributed to a revolution.
Now, who do you feel should have more power, state or federal government?
Definitely states, but the federal government should be backing them up and holding them accountable.
Do you think that America is the greatest country in the world?
Sadly, no, but it should be, and it could be.
How can we do better?
I think that we could prioritize strength in caring for our own citizens and collaborating more with other nations. We don't need to be the toughest or the loudest.
So how do you feel about our current president?
I think that he's dangerous, and I have concerns about his competency and his character and his motivations. So I will be relieved when he no longer holds any power.
Okay, then how do you feel about our current Congress?
I feel that our Congress has become distracted by party loyalties over what the people really need. And so I hope that anyone that is elected in this year really prioritizes their people over their parties.
I have some either or questions.
Okay.
Environment or economy?
Economy that doesn't pillage the environment.
Pro-life or pro-choice?
Pro-abundant life, but until every woman is rejoicing over being with child, we should have choice.
Tax the rich or cut the spending?
Cut any spending that only benefits the rich, and then tax the rich.
Choice schools or public education?
More choices in public education.
Social Security or private investment?
Social Security, but also encourage private investment.
Black Lives Matter or All Lives Matter?
Black lives are included in all lives, and they are the lives that have been historically undervalued. And so we'll focus there, and then we can say all lives.
Defund the police or back the blue?
I think we can back the blue by moving some of their funding to the professionals that should be responding to calls. They're not mental health crisis interventionists, and so in some cases, the police don't need to be there.
Medicare for all or private insurance?
I think that we should have a single payer for preventative and emergency care, but I see a good role for private insurance.
MSNBC or Fox News?
No cable news, NPR.
Minimum wage at $15 or $7 okay?
I think that minimum wage should be based off of what the CEO and stockholders are making every year. And so for big corporations, $15 an hour. But mom and pop shops or gig economy, we can't set these high expectations. We'll have a lot of automation and a lot more internships.
Okay, so I have some yes or no questions.
Okay.
Legalize cannabis, marijuana?
Yes.
Fund Planned Parenthood?
Yes.
Free college for all?
No.
Concealed carry for firearms?
Yes.
High power rifles for regular citizens?
Yes, if they are registered and hold liability insurance.
Can you tell us what would your approaches be to improving the economy?
Well, I would make it possible for people to save money for emergencies or times like these before they pay any income tax. I would support small businesses. I would reduce corporate welfare. And I would allow people in the middle class to keep more of their money to invest in themselves. I'd also reduce the amount of money the federal government can make off of interest for things like FHA loans.
Ways you would reform law enforcement and or corrections?
So I think we need to see an immediate end to qualified immunity. I would like to see a focus go to restitution for nonviolent offenses. I would like to see our correction systems be aimed to reduce recidivism above all else. And I think that when it comes to juvenile justice, we need to avoid detention centers at any means necessary.
Can you tell us your thoughts on changes to elections?
I think we should get rid of the Electoral College. I believe that vote by mail or even online should be the future that we go for. And I think that we should have more representatives in the House.
Can you give us just a few of the priority areas to cut federal spending?
I would certainly cut defense spending by a lot.
And a politician you'd like to author a bill with?
Oh, I would like to sit down and write something up with Justin Amash. Unfortunately, he's planning to leave his seat.
Now, just a few questions left. I'm not going to hold you all day. I know you
Okay.
have a meeting coming up. What would you hope to see happen in the next 5 years?
I'd like to see Americans come together and have a shared pride that we can really take some pride in.
And what would you consider would make a good leader?
I think humility and being the kind of person who's worth emulating.
Do you think you'd do a good job in Congress?
I think I could.
Do you think people will vote for you?
Some people will vote for me.
What's the first thing you do if you win?
I would take a long walk and pray.
And what would you do if you didn't win?
I would do my best to be a great second grade teacher to Lola, and possibly look into the state assembly the next round. Hey, so I think that was 72. Can I ask you the 73rd question?
And that would be?
Would you mind coming back for dinner in about an hour?
I feel honored.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Great. It was wonderful seeing you. I'm going to get on this meeting real quick and we'll catch up.
Absolutely.
All right,
Thank you,
thank you.
Jenna.